Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? It is Wednesday, October 19th. Hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. Welcome to studentloanjustice.org. We are Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest, first, largest, and only grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan borrowers. We don't play any games. We ourselves are of the borrowers, by the borrowers, and for the student loan borrowers who have been abused and I would say oppressed by a big government lending scam for far too long. And we're not going to take it anymore. So welcome, particularly if you're new to the group. Tell everyone you know about this group. We're quite important in the national dialogue for student loan justice. So I will leave it there at that. Tonight, we're going to talk about lies, big lies, bigger lies, and the biggest lie. But first, I have some announcements to make. First of all, if you live in Arizona and you are an older borrower, FFELP loans, and you are not getting, like all FFELP borrowers, are not going to get the student loan cancellation that Biden announced a few months ago, and you want to be interviewed, get in touch with me. Send me an email or maybe just message me or whatever. Email address is Alan, ALAN, @studentloanjustice.org. Also, if this is for national news broadcast, if you have $20,000 or less in loans and the Biden thing is going to completely extinguish your debt, then we also have someone who wants to interview you. Same thing. Send me a message. ALAN @studentloanjustice.org. The biggest announcement I have tonight, and this is huge, guys. We are very hurting on fundraising right now. I mean, very hurting. Like we have pending phone bills and stuff that have to get paid. And our email is crap. For the past 3 weeks, we've been without our normal email service. So it's very difficult for us to fundraise right now. Having said that, I'm thrilled to report that an anonymous donor in California, I just spoke with her moments ago, she is willing to do a challenge matching thing up to $1,000 through Saturday. So if you could please donate, just please do that. And whatever you donate will be matched up to $1,000 cumulatively. So if 50 people donated $1,000, no, that's not, she's not. Up to $1,000. That's a huge thing, guys. In our universe, that's a gigantic, huge thing. Our operating costs are very low. But we can't do it on nothing. And this will be just a massive help for us, particularly at this very critical time. Last announcement I have is please vote for Lisa. And damn it, there's also Christine is in this it's a contest that 2 of our members have joined. It's a glamour contest. They're trying to fuse the world of fashion and glamour and student loans. And we just are thrilled. Both of them look like they're going to make it to the final round of this contest. So go there, vote for Lisa. Also look for Christine Belfiore, Belfiore, Christina. I think she's calling herself for this contest. Vote for them both. It will help. You can vote for both of them for free. It's a Facebook thing. Please do it. So ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, if you have any questions or comments, and I can see them on Facebook or Twitter, then throw them out. I'm very happy to respond to them. So we're fighting for 2 things, guys. The most important thing that we're fighting for right now is absolutely critical legislation that will return bankruptcy protections to student loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, but guys, I'm here to tell you, after 17 and a half years of doing this, this lies at the core of everything. We're not going to see anything good, and we will see many very good, maybe exceptionally, extremely good things happen with these loans when bankruptcy is returned, with few people actually having to file. The founding fathers called for bankruptcy in the Constitution. It's that important. They knew something, and the student loan violation of their wisdom proves their wisdom on this point in spades. So we've got two great bills, S2598, HR 9110 in the House and the Senate. Very well positioned bills. They could be passed they could be passed soon. They could be passed before the election, which is what we're fighting for. They have to be passed before the end of the year. So if you forget everything that I say tonight, and you only remember one thing, remember at least this: do our daily actions. It is the most important, effective, efficient use of your time. We're a working fighting group. We're not an entertainment group. We're not here to entertain you. I know I play shitty piano. But folks, we're not here for you to watch like a tennis match. We need your help. These are your loans. This is your battle. You need to fight. And the least you can do, the very minimum you can do, is our daily actions. They are very strategic. They're very well thought out. You need a Twitter account. Sorry about that. That's just the way it is. So do that. Let's talk about some lies. If you've been reading the media, 98% of it, I would say right now, is filled with disgusting, horrible lies. And, I could do an 8-hour live stream just talking about all the lies that are told about this student loan scam. But I'm going to keep it to only the best stuff. And I'm going to hopefully do this in about 10 minutes or so. I want to save as much time for questions and comments as I possibly can. So let's start with big lies. Not the biggest lie. Well, I'll finale with that. Here's some big lies that are going around right now about student loans. Student loan cancellation will benefit the wealthy. That's one of the bigger, not bigger. It's a big lie. It's been told many times. As soon as our petition, change.org/cancel student loans, started getting really big, and this is before Elizabeth Warren, anybody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order. All of a sudden, the bad guys come out of the woodwork and they go, "Oh, canceling student loans will benefit the wealthy." It's a complete lie. So here's the deal. Everyone who gets a student loan is a federal student loan is by definition not only not wealthy, they are financially needy. You can't get a federal student loan unless you demonstrate financial need. So wealthy people don't get student loans. Even before this pandemic, 85% of all of the borrowers were underwater on their loans. Underwater. So either they weren't paying at all, and that's more than half, by the way. That's the majority of student loan borrowers were not paying before the pandemic. But another 30% or so were paying, but their loan balances were going up, not down, up. They couldn't even cover the interest on their loans. Wealthy people don't get behind on their student loans, and that's 85%. Now, look at, say, PPP loans. 75%, 3 out of 4 of everybody who got PPP loans earns more than $100,000 a year. So if you want to talk about benefiting the wealthy, look at PPP loans. And where was all the outcry about PPP loans? I know a bunch of small business owners who went under or nearly went under during COVID who didn't get PPP loans. Now, was it fair to them that people who didn't mostly even need PPP loans got these PPP loans? Like Tom Brady and like all these millionaires and billionaires, all these members of Congress and their families. Canceling student loans will not benefit. It'll overwhelmingly largely benefit the unwealthy. Now, are there a few well-to-do people who were able to pay their loans? Before COVID, about 15%. So about 1.5 people out of 10 were able to repay their loans. Were they wealthy? No, I doubt it. Wealthy people don't have student loans. And people who get wealthy, probably the first thing they do is pay off their student loans. So give me a fucking break. Pardon my French. So that's a big lie. Let's talk about a bigger lie that, again, the media is throwing around as fact and has been for the past couple of years, particularly since we've been talking about canceling student loans by executive order. But actually, they've been beating this lie drum for decades. And the bigger lie is that the federal government is losing money on the student loan system. And I'm going to marry that with another lie, but it's all kind of one big lie. That canceling student loans will cost the taxpayer. So the bigger lie is that student loans have been costing the taxpayer and will cost the taxpayer. So that's one bigger lie. False on both of those subpoints. For years and decades, certain branches of the federal government, like the General Accounting Office, the Congressional Budget Office, they've been trotting out these studies that are typically called for by people like Virginia Fox and other Republicans and conservatives and student loan swamp sycophants in Congress. Not all Republican, but honestly, mostly Republican. And by the way, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. Whether you're Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or whatever you are, you're very welcome here. We say bad things about both parties because both parties deserve it. We pretty much hate both parties. So whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome here. And don't be surprised if we say some nasty things about the party that you like. The government has not been losing money on the student loan program. And even if the loans were canceled entirely, all federally owned, not guaranteed, all federally owned loans, which is 87% of all student loan debt, if all those loans were canceled tomorrow by executive order, even still, the government probably would not be losing money. And here's why. So the as I said, GAO, CBO trot out these reports, and these reports always say two things. They go, oh, the government is losing money on the federal student loan program because, number one, the cost of defaults. Ooh, defaulted loans. Ooh, that's very expensive to the taxpayer, defaults. Second thing they point to are, look at all these income-based repayment programs, these loan forgiveness programs, the public service loan forgiveness, and income contingent repayment, and pay as you earn, and revised pay as you earn. Look at all these forgiveness programs. Yeah, that's going to cost the taxpayers a huge amount of money in the future. Okay, so point number one: defaults. This is going to sound batshit crazy to you when I say this, but I guarantee you it is true. The government, for federal student loans, unlike all other loans in this country, including government loans, student loans are uniquely profitable to the government. Let me say that again. Federal student loan defaulted federal student loans actually earn earn is the wrong word because they don't earn anything. Make the government the government profits on defaulted federal student loans. I kid you not. You can look at White House budget data going back to, I think, 2004 and before. 2010 certainly was true. More recently, it's frankly even more true today than it was say 15 years ago, when the lending system was slightly different. It was very different, actually, because the government didn't own the loans, was not making the interest. The government is profiting on defaulted loans, guys. And if you go to bit.ly/not losing, all one word, lowercase, you can see the data that I looked at, Department of Education and White House budget data that I looked at to confirm that. Actually, it was just White House budget data, but this is very solid data that hasn't changed much at all over the years. And, these days, if you look at a defaulted federal student loan, most of that loan, or a lot of that loan, often most of that loan, on average, maybe even most of that loan, is interest. In other words, profit to the government. So whereas, 15 years ago, the government was still profiting on student loans, but the amount it got back, there was no interest baked into that. It was basically you pay out $1 on a default, you get back $1.20. Well, now you pay out $1 on the government pays out $1, or a loan defaults, and they get back $1.10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Well, that original dollar contained a whole ton of profit in the first place. So the government is profiting tremendously on defaulted loans. And that's something that you heard that here first, by the way. It's never been adequately reported in the media. It's disgusting. So that's the first point. Second point, when the CBO and the GAO say, oh, we're going to lose all this money because look at all these forgiveness programs, that is an absolute and utter lie, and they know it. The government has no intention or desires or intentions. The Department of Education has no desires, no intentions of actually canceling any loans through these income-driven repayment programs. Look at public service loan forgiveness. Until there was a massive brouhaha, public outcry, they were rejecting 99% of the people who tried. In 2014, the IBR program, income-based repayment, and all the other repayment programs, IBR, ICR, pay, repay, 57% of the people in those programs in 1 year alone were booted out for failing to verify their income. That's in 1 year. And, let's say, and I've seen that in other years, they disqualify around 30% of the people. Well, if you disqualify 30% of the people out of a forgiveness program every single year, by year 20, you've disqualified over 99% of all borrowers. So, and the most cruel, vicious irony about this whole thing, guys, is that not only is the government not losing money on these forgiveness programs, they are actually probably making, at least on paper, they are booking a huge increase in profit on these dishonest, disqualifying, income-driven repayment plans. So, because remember, if you're in income-based repayment and you make, relatively small payments, and your interest and your balance grows throughout the life of the loan. Hold on a minute. I got to plug my computer in. I don't want to get cut off like I did the other night. If you're in income-based repayment in a 20 or 25 year IBR program, and you get disqualified after year, 17, 18 or something, you get disqualified out of the program. Well, you're going to be left owing a huge balance, because your balance probably grew. For most people, their balances grow significantly over the life of the loan. So, as viciously cruel and ironic as that is, you could actually argue more strongly, more correctly, that the government is making a profit on these income-driven repayment programs. So, and by the way, of the $1.8 billion in outstanding student loan debt, let's say $1.6 trillion in federal student loan debt. Now, we don't know exactly how much of that debt is unpaid principal versus interest, penalties, fees, all lumped into, and interest accrues on that, all that nonsense. Unpaid principal versus, let's just call it nonsense. But my best estimate is that a huge percentage, like 80, 75, 80, maybe even 90, I don't know, 85, huge, large majority of that 1.6 trillion is nonsense. It's house money, it's profit, it's call it whatever you want. It's not unpaid principal. So the taxpayer, they're not losing money when they cancel these loans, by and large. Now, will the government be out something if they canceled every single nickel tomorrow? Maybe. As I said, it's hard to say, because nobody knows. Nobody knows how much of the portfolio is unpaid interest versus interest, penalties, fees, nonsense. But remember also, the federal government has been booking at least a huge profit on this lending system for many years now. As I said, they've been making a profit on defaulted loans. They haven't been canceling any loans. So it may very well be that every nickel of federally owned student loan debt could be canceled tomorrow, and the government would actually be, in the long view, making a profit, not a loss. And, you know, I was thinking about a good analogy for what the bad guys, our opposition, are doing. And here's kind of what they're doing. This is sort of reduced to absurdity, taken to the extreme. But put it this way. Let's say you buy a lottery ticket for $1 and the prize is $1 million. So you buy this lottery ticket for $1, you scratch it off, and you don't win. Now, our opponents, the bad guys, the student loan swamp, they would say, hey, that lottery ticket cost $1 million. I would say, no. That lottery ticket cost $1. You lost $1 when you bought that lottery ticket. You didn't lose $1 million. And I mean, truly, guys, I know that sounds absurd, but that literally is the essence of what our opponents are trying to argue. So that's a bigger lie, and that's a very important lie. And I hope that you understand what I just said, because we need everybody out there being ambassadors in this fight. We need everybody out there standing up and calling out the bullshit that is overwhelming the zeitgeist right now. You know, we don't have marketing staff. We don't have a gajillion dollar budget. We don't have anything like that. We have normal people. We've got a lot of them. And that is the only thing that we have. And quite frankly, that is the only thing that we should need. But we need people like you sitting there who are very personally affected by these lies. We need you standing up to them and calling out the bullshit. And you can very easily do that. You can do nothing more than say, hey, man, you're full of shit, and then post bit.ly/not losing. Or you can say, hey, man, you're a liar. Stop lying. And say bit.ly/won't help rich. You can also say bit.ly/won't cause inflation. And these are all one word lowercase. We need you here fighting with us, guys, because these big lies are going to screw us. And that shouldn't happen. We've got over 1 million people on our group. We've got hundreds of thousands. Even aside from our petition, we've got over 100,000 people on our group, in our Facebook group, and our email, and our various other platforms. There's no good reason for us to lose this battle, guys. And right now, everything depends on whether we get our bankruptcy bills passed by the end of the year or whether we don't. That is the only battle that's meaningful, guys. Put all the distractive noise out of your mind. And there's a lot of it right now. As I said, 98% of the nonsense we see in the media right now is a distraction. Our opponents want you distracted. They want you reading the media. They want you sitting there reading Forbes magazine, waiting, watching, worrying, wringing your hands, wondering what's going to happen, and doing nothing. That's what our opponents want. And we will be fucked if you do that. Don't give our opponents that pleasure. Get off of your ass and help us fight. And to everybody else out there who are fighting, you know I salute you. We are the pioneers. We are the tip of the spear. We are the spear. We would not have this legislation to fight for but for you. We would not have this, albeit lame, loan cancellation from Joe Biden but for you and your efforts and everything that we did to make that petition happen way before almost anyone was talking about canceling student loans by executive order. We started that public conversation. And so I hope that you all are very proud of yourselves for the work, the effort that you put in. I salute you, as I said. To everybody else, you need to get off your ass right now. Your loans hang in the balance of what happens between now and the elections, and certainly now and the end of the year. That's like 2 and not even a half months away. That's like 70 days away. That's no time. There's no time, guys. If ever you were going to fight this battle, you've got to fight it now. And that all starts at a minimum with you doing our daily actions. If even 10% of the people in our group were doing these daily actions, we would absolutely overwhelm everything. And I think we'd be done easily by the end of the year. All right, guys, I'm so sorry. I've been lagging on your comments. I'm looking at them now. There they are. Hold tight. Done. And here we are. Hey, Michael Cheney's with us. Michael says hi. Hey, Christina says good afternoon, listening in right now. Hey, Christina. As I said, vote for Christina. Go to, and I really need a link for you, Christina. If you could post the link to vote for you, that would be fantastic. Vote, go there, votefab40.com, vote for Lisa, look for Christina Belfiore, Belfiore. Vote for them both, and ouch, it will help very much. Man, I crushed my hand today. Digging a post hole today. Okay, so hello, Mike. Hello, Christina. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Michael says, I did the daily actions on vacation for, well, happy anniversary, Michael. On vacation for his anniversary. Happy anniversary. That's fantastic. Glad to see people staying married with student loan debt. Often that's not the case. We've seen student loans rip families apart, husbands, wives, parents, children, grandparents, grandchildren. Stay together. Don't let student loans wreck your life. We're better than that. We're stronger people than that. This is nonsense that we're dealing with. We're way stronger than this bullshit. We don't have to take this, guys. And in my humble opinion, nobody should ever pay another dollar back on their federal student loans, ever. Don't feed the beast. We got this. And when we all stand up and when we all fight for ourselves, we will crush our opposition. They are way more afraid of us than we should be of them. Founding fathers are on our side, by the way. The Constitution is on our side. You should be telling everyone you know. You should be fighting this battle loudly and proudly. Hey, Joanna Kearns is with us, says hello from Florida. Christina also says, the other lie I read today from a friend in the banking industry still thinks the middle class will be left holding the bag and paying for our student loan cancellation, and bankruptcy is being sold to people like her too as a separate issue. Oh, you packed a lot in there, Christine. The taxpayers aren't paying for anything. When federally owned student loans are canceled, unlike PPP loans, not one thin dime will be taken from the Treasury. Not one penny will be added to the national debt. Let me say that again. Canceling federally owned student loans requires not one nickel from the federal Treasury, adds not one penny to the national debt. Joe taxpayer doesn't need to be upset. Joe taxpayer is doing great. In fact, the taxpayers have made and it's really not the taxpayers, it's the Department of Education and their crony colleagues on Wall Street and in other places. They have made a king's ransom on this lending racket. And so anyone that says, why should my tax dollars pay for your student loans? Tell them not to flatter themselves. Point them to bit.ly/not losing. Point them to our petition, change.org/cancel student loans. And tell them to quit fighting for the worst big government college enriching lending scam in the history of the United States of America. That's not conservative. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. And it makes perfect sense that your friend was from the banking industry, Christina. Michael Cheney says, all for the rich. I think you're talking about PPP loans. Yeah. PPP loans went largely to people who earn over $100,000 a year, i.e. the wealthy. I don't consider people who earn over $100,000 a year wealthy, actually. I think inflation and I think everything, $100,000 a year is not what it used to be. It's just not. I mean, I would love to make $100,000 a year. Don't get me wrong. we make almost nothing over here. We barely make enough to keep our lights on, but truly, you know, $100,000 a year is not as much as you might think. But nonetheless, the PPP loan people, I would think that a ton of them made way over $100,000 a year. We're talking about small businesses. Small businesses are not as small as you might think. And the businesses that got those PPP loans, they tended to be the bigger small businesses who have, you know, an administrative staff who can focus all their efforts into cranking out a successful PPP loan application. So I know there's a ton of actual small businesses out there, mom and pops, who never even got these PPP loans because it was just too daunting. They were too busy or whatever. They just couldn't get their shit together to get the application in, or the bank rejected them or whatever. Those are the people who didn't get PPP loans. The people who did get PPP loans were the big, you know, maybe they were technically small businesses, like 500 employees or less, but maybe they were like 450 employees, and like they said, hey, accountant, whip out a PPP loan application in the next 3 days and make it for $5 million and make it happen pronto. Those are the kind of people who actually got these PPP loans. Hey, Kelly Kessler, I did my daily actions the same day I gave birth to my son. Wow. Congratulations, Kelly. That's fantastic. Let me just read the full quote here. From Kelly Kessler, I did my daily actions the same day I gave birth to my son. There's no excuse not to do them. This is too important. From Kelly's lips to your ears, listen to Kelly. You know, we've got people on this group, they just bring tears to my eyes. Martha Monroe. Martha has ALS. She can't speak. She can't walk. She can't talk. She can't even digest her own food. She's in a wheelchair. She can type, and her mind is great. Martha she has ALS. Martha has our back. Martha does our daily actions almost every day, if not every day. So what's your excuse again for not doing the daily actions? No, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. You know what to do, guys. Let me just dial it in one time before I sign off here tonight. Daily actions, guys. Daily actions. This is what it's. That is what it's all about. If 100,000 people a day were doing those daily actions, we would overwhelm every Twitter account, every phone line, everyone who we target. And we're targeting some very important, strategically smart people right now. That would solve the problem, guys. Can you imagine if 100,000 people were retweeting a tweet to Oprah Winfrey saying, hey, Oprah, support this legislation? She would do it. 100,000. If 100,000 people retweeted a tweet to, James Cavall, the Undersecretary of Education, saying, hey, James, stop opposing student loan borrowers bankruptcy court, he'd be like, holy shit. It would get national news. It would be reported on by national news. It would be a thing. It would be a phenomenon. Phenomenon. Why do I always not get that phenomena versus phenomenon thing correct? I don't know. I'm actually a scientist. I should. Yeah, guys, do the daily actions. Before I digress any further. There's the link for Christina to vote for her. Rob Mueller says White House data shows that the federal government profits even off of defaulted loans. The taxpayer is not on the hook. Virginia Fox is a lie. So is Tom Cotton. The wealthy do not benefit. IBR plans will string you along and forget your payment history / ghost you. The perfect synopsis of what I just said over the past 30 minutes. Rob, thank you, Rob. Listen to Rob. If you're not going to listen to me, listen to Rob. And he finishes his comment with simply two things. S2598, HR 9110. Those are the only things that you should be occupying your time with right now. If you're spending time, and you better be spending some time fighting this battle, which is your battle, and your loans hang on the line and hang in the balance of what this group The only group in the country fighting for this incredibly important legislation. What you do matters. You have no idea how important you are. It's so important that you do the daily actions at a minimum. Your loans hang in the balance. How many times am I going to repeat that? I actually just lost my train of thought because I've said that so many times, guys. It's so fucking important. Nobody else on this group is going to pull your weight for you. No other group in this country is fighting for this battle. And frankly, the other student loan advocacy groups ought to be ashamed of themselves. They are pimping this problem. At least one of the groups is corrupted. Another one of the groups, I don't know, they do financial dealings with the collection industry, and the collection industry would love to see January 1st come, the repayment resume, and bankruptcy remain gone from the loans. It's going to be a feeding frenzy, and we are going to be the main course on January 1st. If that date comes and we do not have constitutionally enshrined bankruptcy rights returned to us. Shame on those other groups. I would hope that if you're in any of those other groups, you would be asking them the very tough questions. Disgusting. Shameful. And we've been doing this for 17 and a half years, guys. These people in these other groups are frankly kids. But, they're more than kids. They should know better. If they've been claiming to be fighting for the borrowers for any length of time, they should know what I know. And what I know is what I've been saying throughout this broadcast. Bankruptcy lies at the core of this issue. We're not going to see anything meaningful. This Biden loan cancellation gimmick that we just saw, that's the best we're going to get as long as the threat of bankruptcy remains gone from these loans. Shame on those other groups. Forget about those other groups. They're a distraction. Don't be distracted. We need you here with us, undistracted, fighting. We know the path forward that's going to actually solve this problem. So as I said, tell all your friends, your family, everyone you know with student loans about this group. If we don't get this done by the end of the year, guys, I'm telling you straight up, we're fucked. Pardon my French. If we do not get these bills passed, HR 9110, 911, HR 9110, easy to remember, S2598. You should have already called your senator, both of your senators and your House representative at least a dozen times apiece by now. If you haven't, you'd better get on the phone and you better tell your senators to co-sponsor and push S2598, and you better tell your House rep in as forceful language as you can muster that they better co-sponsor and push HR 9110. There's a lot in this fight that goes well beyond student loans, ladies and gentlemen. If they can do what they did to student loans, to other loans, and if we let this injustice stand, they will. They'll rip bankruptcy rights away from medical debt, and the same things will happen. They'll rip bankruptcy rights away from every consumer debt, and the same bullshit that happened to us will happen to everyone. This is how you conquer and enslave a country, through debt. And that's a paraphrase from John Adams, founding father, John Adams. The stakes are high, guys, and the stakes are very real. This lending scam is a clear and present danger to your livelihood, especially come January 1st. So, okay, guys, I'm sorry if I didn't get to all your comments. Fight with us. Last thing I will say, the first thing that I said, I think, and please donate, guys. I'm sorry to have to ask. I truly am sorry. I have to ask right now. As I said, an anonymous donor in California has stepped up and will match donations through Saturday up to $1,000 cumulatively. That's a huge deal for us. That's massive. Please just fucking pitch in. I don't know what else to say. I suck at fundraising, clearly. But okay, guys, good luck in your efforts. Keep us posted as to your accomplishments. We love to brag on that kind of stuff. and let's get this done, guys. I will be back on Friday. God willing, Ed will be back tomorrow. He's going through some stuff right now. He may be out for the week, I suspect, but we'll see. But keep fighting, guys. Good luck in your efforts. Godspeed to you. And God bless everyone.